Popular show tunes from the Tin Pan Alley era in New York City have been used for many years as vehicles for jazz musicians' improvisations and are often referred to as standards. Bebop tunes are similar to jazz standards in regard to their chord progressions, but are dissimilar when comparing the melodic content. The melodies of standards tend to be more lyrical in nature, while the tunes written from the bebop vernacular are mostly comprised of more linear chromatic melodies. As stated earlier, the chord progressions between these two styles are very similar, especially those that fall into the functional harmony category. Many tunes in both bebop and standards can be analyzed as 2-5-1 progressions in both major or minor keys or combined. We're going to discuss this a little later, but first I want to talk about my new online jazz improvisation course, the II V I Encyclopedia. My approach to learning how to improvise involves two broad areas of study, which includes theoretical pedagogy and making the connection to the music that you want to play. Theoretical pedagogy is generally what I cover in my bass foundation course and my 2-year bass mastery course, whereas making the connection to the music is more of the focus in the II V I Encyclopedia. Now, one of the vehicles that I use to make the connection to the music is through the learning of jazz standards. And in order to be successful with that, understanding how to navigate your way through all the various 2-5-1 progressions is an absolute necessity. Now, if you don't have my book, Functional Harmonic Concepts, then you really need to get that now, as that will give you the methodology to help you to start understanding the academics and the analysis of functional harmony and how to recognize the harmonic specifics within the structure of a song. In the next example, I'm going to play over a typical jazz progression where the bridge is going to take us through a 2-5-1 in G minor, followed by a mixed 2-5-1 in F major. Check it out, then I'll come back for the 2-5-1 debrief. Now, what's really interesting is how these 2-5-1 lines are constructed. So if we break this down, what we're looking at is over the first chord is an A minor 7 flat 5. And I'm playing the flat 3, then a scale passing tone 4, ascending to the flat 5. Notice how this also outlines a C minor idea. So if you thought of that in C minor, it'd be the root, the second, and the flat 3. But over the A, that's going to be the flat 3, the 4, and then going into the flat 5. So we're using a little superimposition there in context. Then in the next melodic cell, what I'm using is a double chromatic into the third of the following chord. Now this is called chord anticipation. Often a big mistake when analyzing solos and lines from people is that everyone does it very vertically. In other words, they look at the bar that they're on and they see, oh, that's an A minor 7 flat 5. And then they see this line which is pushing into the next bar, which is going double chromatic below and then into the third of the D7 flat 9. So they don't really realize, they think, oh, that somehow had something to do with the A minor 7 flat 5. And often if it doesn't work out that the notes work, they just go, oh, this guy was so good, he was playing notes that didn't work over that chord. When in reality, this idea of anticipation is very, very common throughout all of jazz improvisation. So it's something to pay attention to. And then when we go into the next bar, I'm using the double chromatic into the flat 13, which is really giving me that altered sound. So I'm pushing into the third, then into that flat 13. And also that pattern just transposes up a major third there. And then it goes up here to the F, which is giving me the sharp 9. And then I've got a chromatic approach above into the 5th of the next chord, which is the G minor. So from there, I've got the 5, the flat 3, the root, the flat 7. And then I've got the 11, the 9, the flat 7. And then a chromatic approach from above into the 5, and then 13, then going into flat 3, which is a very cool idea there. That little gives you that tritone sound, which is very cool. If we then progress to the next 2-5-1 pattern, we've got a G minor 7 flat 5, going to the C 7 flat 9, and then going to an F major chord. And then the last bar, it takes us into an A7 flat 9, which is then going to take us back to that D minor section. I'm not really concerned with that D minor section in this video. We're just really focusing on these 2-5 lines and the construction. So if we look at the construction of this G minor 7 flat 5, it goes root, then it goes to scale passing tone 2, then to the flat 3, then scale passing tone 4, then the flat 5, then the flat 7, okay? And notice that it has a rest on beat 1. And it's very important to look at how lines are phrased in this way. And you could see that from the previous 4 bars that on the first beat of the first bar, there's a rest. And you also see that how the rhythm is used within that line as well, which is very syncopated. This is very indicative of jazz improvisation, and often goes amiss. A lot of people forget about the rhythm, and then they just hope the rhythm will just fall into place. But this syncopation is very specific, and it's something that I really get into in depth in the II V I Encyclopedia. And of course, it's something that I cover very much in depth all through my 2-year bass mastery course. So this rest on those first beats are very important to how the phrasing sounds. So I then go into the C7 flat 9, where I'm going the root, then I go flat 7, then scale passing tone 6, descending to 5. And then I move down a half step, and I play the same pattern down. Now what's cool about that is it gives me this symmetrical idea, which perfectly outlines the C half whole diminished scale, but it also is just this cool pattern that falls under the fingers in that way as well, down to the flat 2. So the way that those notes are going to work here is from I'm coming from 5, then I'm descending, scale passing tone, descending to the sharp 4, then 3. And then an interesting thing about the diminished half whole scale is that it has 2 passing tones between the third and the root. So I've got that sharp 2, and then I've got that flat 2 as well. And then that pivots nicely into the 5th of the F major chord, and then I play the 5, scale passing tone 4, descending down to 3, then to 9, and then back up to the 5, 3, the 2, scale passing tone, descending 2 to the root, and then I go up to the root of the A7 flat 9, and then to the 3rd. And then that brings me nicely back into that D minor section. So what's really important here is to see all the different moving parts that we're going through. This is a great way that you're going to be able to start learning vocabulary that you can actually transfer to other tunes. And check out all the different things that we've got. We've had chromaticism in here, tensions, we got scale passing tones, chord tone anticipation, we've got diminished superimposition. We've got rhythmic syncopation, as well as harmonic superimposition. So there's lots of things going on here for you to get your teeth into. Okay, so if we put both of those lines into context real slow, this is what we're going to have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you want to sign up for this course, then all you have to do is just click over here. And for the next week, I'm extending my 20% off sale until Easter Sunday 2020. The course consists of 23 lessons, PDF worksheets, and backing tracks covering all the different aspects of learning how to improvise over 2-5-1 progressions, which are the cornerstone of understanding how to blaze your way through jazz standards. It also includes a series of bonus lessons, including the complete analysis and breakdown of the improvisation that I played today in its entirety, the PDF transcription, and the backing track, plus much, much more. And it has to be said that this course is the perfect follow-up after you've completed my 2-year bass mastery course. So all you have to do now is click over here to get started today. Hope to see you on the other side. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.